I recently read this article where it said that less than 3% of Black women who started businesses hardly matured past the 3.5 year. After reading that, I thought that was interesting. What that means is that Black women who start businesses are not staying long enough in the game. So then by the time you're looking for that business, it's already gone. And it's no time for them to actually be found. And this is where this conversation comes up. It raises questions of, okay, but why don't I see more people like me running businesses and building businesses? Like, why is there that gap? When in fact, it's not the truth. It's just that it's not maturing enough. And that's why today I want to talk about 4 things I would love to see more Black women embrace, especially when becoming a new business owner or being in that follow the dream space. You get the idea. Because I want to see more Black women grab their crown and claim it and not be ashamed to claim what's meant to be theirs. And especially if you're a Black woman today and you're watching this, I want to see more people like yourself embracing who you are and being inspired to follow your dreams and have no shame and killing it. Because you know why? Because it inspires me when someone looks like me and they're like smashing it. Because then it's like, bam, it feels so good. The first point is your perspective needs to be heard. It is necessary, no matter how saturated it is. It is not the end all. There are other Black women out there that needs to relate to you. There are other Black women out there depending on you following your dreams so they can get inspired and see someone else that looks like them. How many times have you looked at something or watched something and you're like, okay, but I can't relate to it because it doesn't relate to me. Like, I can't imagine it because it's not speaking to me, because it doesn't speak to me as a Black woman. There's people out there that need to hear what you have to say. Growing up, every Caribbean person would always say, oh, money doesn't grow on trees, money doesn't come out of the sky, all that stuff. What I want to embrace more of is seeing more Black women especially embrace investing in themselves. I'm tired of being the only Black person in these masterminds and in these coaching programs. You see, the more you invest in yourself, the more skills you create, which means the more successful businesses that you can create. But when there's a lack of skills, that will hold you back. Not knowing how to do something always holds you back. They always say knowledge is power. It is very true. The more you know and the more connections you have to get the help that you need, the farther you can go to get towards your dreams, so we can see more people looking like us and embracing who you are. But when you have a lack of knowledge, for some people, that can hold them back because it makes you feel insecure. It makes you feel like you're not ready. When all you need to do is really just invest in yourself. And I get it. And I'm not saying this is all like every Black family, but I know for most people, most Black families always say, I can't afford it. So then you grow up hearing that all the time. And then guess what happens is that you grow up with that mentality and then you stay in the same spot. And then you always tell yourself the same story every time you try to move forward. Well, I can't afford it. And you don't do it. Meanwhile, another nationality is making the sacrifice necessary to get to where they need to go, and they move way ahead. And I would like to see more Black women just embracing, investing in themselves, because you are worth it. I don't care what anyone says. You are worth it. Next point is become a leader. So the reason why I say this is because I'm currently starting another business that I'll probably share later on. And one of the things I noticed was I was like, but wait, there's no Black women or Black men in this space. So when I would reach out to people, it was always dominated by white men and women, and nothing's wrong with that. Like, it's all good. I respect their hustle. But when you see that there's a lack of nationalities, it means that there's something missing, right? There's a piece of the pod that's missing in that certain industry. So then when I try to reach out, it makes it harder because it's harder to relate. Usually like within a community, the community likes helping each other. So when you are the outlier, it's a little bit harder. Cause like for me, like if a Black person comes to me, and I do get that a lot, especially in the e-commerce world, when they come to me, I get it. And I try to motivate them even more so. especially as a minority, to start that store. There's not a lot of people doing it, right? The people that you see dominating is usually white males. I'm sorry to say, nothing wrong with that. But the people you see dominating in e-commerce is white males. You don't believe me? Search up on YouTube, e-commerce, how to do drop shipping. And most of the people you're gonna see, white males. Nothing's wrong with that. But at the same time, it makes you realize how there's a little bit of lack in certain industries. And I feel like there's no one dominating. And I think it's important to have a lot of minorities dominating, and especially because I'm Black. It's nice to see other people dominating because it really shows you what's possible. And sometimes just realize it may start with you. So just because you don't see someone that looks like you doesn't mean that you shouldn't go after that dream. It's time to step up. It's time to become a leader and not always be a follower. And I want to say this is that when there is a lack of people that look like you, it's harder to get in the space because they can't relate to your background, they can't relate to your culture, your life. And so that's why I really believe it's important. And I was like, why isn't there any Black people in the space? Like, that's usually how I think when I see that. And I'm like, it's very interesting. And also it also can be related to someone's educational background or what their knowledge is. Remember, I told you, it always goes back to knowledge. So if you don't realize that there's spaces out there that needs to be dominated, then you're always going to be going in saturated spots. There's a lot of spots that are not saturated that it's so needed for more minorities to get into. Get out the mindset of being a follower. Stop giving up on your dreams. Stop telling yourself you're not good enough. Stop telling yourself, oh, when I get this or when I get there, then I'll do it. Listen, there are people out there who don't care about that and do the work, and they may be crappy. They don't even have much skill, and they do the work and become successful. I see it all the time. People who are crappy or even sleazy, and they make millions just because they believed in themselves and didn't let anything else hold them back. Don't underestimate yourself. Don't underestimate what you can do and what's possible, because there's people out there that don't care about that, and they're like, you know what, I'm the queen right here, so I'm going after what's mine. And it doesn't matter how good they are. They don't let those things stop them. So don't let those things stop you. Don't let little things stop you from going after what you need to go after, going after that dream space. And stop thinking it's so far in between. It's way closer than you think. And sometimes all you need is to ask. I've gained mentors because of this, and coaches, and getting people to help me because I asked. Don't stay in that stuck mindset where you're like, well, I don't know, so I guess I'm not gonna do it. Because you know why? That Jerry is going out there and asking the right questions to get to where he needs to be. So if you as a Black woman are not doing what is necessary to get to where it needs to be, you're always gonna get people surpassing you, because what sets you apart is the action and then getting knowledge on top of that. I felt like I had to tackle this point, and the next one is not looking the part. I talk about this point because I struggled with it. I'm gonna be real. I struggled with this for some time, where I was like, yeah, but I'm just this Black girl with natural hair. I don't have straight hair, blue eyes, and blonde hair. You get what I mean? But I would always tell myself these things and put myself down because of that, because I was like, well, I don't look like the typical placard. But you see, if we all think like that and we're like, well, I don't look like that typical woman, then guess what? We never actually get to do the thing that we want to do. We never actually get in the space we want to get to. We don't get to that dream space, if you get what I mean. And so then, guess what? Then other nationalities or other women always go after for what they want. And really what it comes down to is it's never about looks. It's about you being comfortable with who you are. Whether you're white, Black, Indian, whatever it may be, is that you're comfortable with who you are and not worried about looking like the next person. How about we embrace how we are already, whether you're Black with natural hair, whatever it may be, and go after what you need to go after, not let you being a minority or the less of person that's heading into the space be an issue, because it's not. People will relate to you just because you're different, and you're gonna notice that you will attract other people that look like you, that can relate to you, and be like, oh, I'm so happy to see someone that's in this space, because I don't see a lot of people that look like that. How many times have you done that? Like, I know for sure, like, There's some YouTube videos that I watch because I'm like, okay, this girl has the same type of hair as me, so I'm gonna watch her. You get what I mean? Basically put, until you believe in yourself, it's hard to progress. Until you believe that you deserve to be in that space, you deserve to follow your dreams, it's hard to progress. Stop the comparison. You are meant to be in that spot. Wherever you believe, whatever you have imagined, there's a possibility of you being in that spot, and it has nothing to do with the way you look. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. There's people out there that need to relate to you. There's people out there that need to see other people like us in this space so they can be inspired too. It's all a ripple effect. It's a domino effect. When one person does it, it inspires someone else to do it too. The one thing that you have to remember, if there's anything, is there's a spot for you, queen.